Claire?
Hi. Hi.
Is there Claire there?
Yeah, hi. Can you see me?
I can't hear you yet.
I don't know if that's me.
Claire, I think I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm echoing in your screen, so.
What?
I heard myself echoing.
Yeah, I've got to switch you over. So,
Me and Emerald are just sitting in the hotel room right now. We're the only people.
Hi, Claire's dad.
so is she going to be on our panel too?
I mean, yeah, probably. It's inevitable.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to use headphones or anything, so she'll hear stuff, and I think she'll probably.
Okay.
I'm going to invite her to come over and jump in if anything. Are you doing something? I was going to ask you questions, but.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. I said you were coming through my speakers, and I wanted you on my headphones so that I get feedback.
That makes sense. Okay. Who is talking on the panel?
So can you see the chat? Good feedback.
That makes sense. Ooh. Okay. Okay. I accidentally turned on the YouTube video as well, and that was going to be too much to handle. Can I see the chat? I can see the chat.
Okay. Is there anything there? Sometimes it only shows it doesn't have history. Does it have someone posting for me?
Mm-hmm.
What?
There's no history.
Okay. Here. I should probably just post this, share this as a Google Doc so people can do that.
Okay, so someone is. That's me. I'm in math.
You're in math. Tyler's in computers, kind of.
Where did he do his program?
He just finished up his master's and got a job, I think, at 3M.
Okay, so master's at where?
Iowa State.
Okay. And
kind of big data. It was a mix. It was like statistics and computers sort of stuff.
Okay. And then Luke is at Michigan Tech.
Yes. And Tony's just graduated and doing doing a research while he's applying to grad schools.
Okay.
And you.
And then me.
And Emerald.
And Emerald. Cool. I'm at MathFest, and Facebook is at our thing. Really? They're trying to hire data scientists. They're looking outside the box to find, because they find that mathematicians work really well in their company, so they're here to hire us.
Okay.
I was like, I don't do that, so I'm just here to talk to you.
Right.
Okay, like you could still if you wanted to. I was like, okay, well, yeah, I could.
Guys do the internship there.
Right? I was like, will you pay me for like a couple months? But I took their information, and they were handing out, fancy swag, so I took some.
Yes, you got to get your swag.
Yeah. I was laughing because I sent an email to my undergrad advisor to ask him if he was sending anybody to this conference, and he is like doing work stuff, so the other professor was gonna bring people, but the other professor found out that the building that the conference is held in has more than 3 stories with glass windows, and so he doesn't go into buildings that are that way, and so he's not bringing anyone or coming. And my advisor was like, I wish I was joking, but I'm not.
That's really silly.
It's like, okay. Fun times.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, maybe I'll hang up and hang out for a while and then come back.
Okay, at least it's working. I know it's working now.
Yeah. I'll just turn my microphone off.
Your microphone just went off.
I just turned it off because I said
okay, that works.
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn it off and go hang out for a while, but I'll come back.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll leave the video running just because might as well.
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
Sounds good. Hi, Emerald. Hi, someone's there.
Hi, this is Luke.
Hey, Luke. Let me stop this. Claire's there. So, hi, Luke. So, Luke, you're a biochem major, is that right?
Yeah, I'm a biochem molecular biology.
Okay. And are you going to school in Michigan, or where are you going to school at?
So I'm going to school at the Mayo Clinic Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences.
Okay. And Tyler?
How are you?
Good. I haven't seen you in a long time. I don't even know if you remember me. And Tyler, are you down in the Twin Cities now?
Yes, I am. Yep, I just graduated in May.
Okay. And what was, you had a master's, right?
Yes, I did. Yep, in statistics.
Ah. Okay. So my plan is that once people show up and get started, we'll just go around and basically have you each talk first about how you got there. Yeah, let me update the chat. The questions. If you bring up the chat window, I think you can see the questions there. And not really questions, but first just talk about where you are, what you're doing. So yeah, kind of get a quick introduction of where you are, what you did. Like Tyler, you can tell them where you went to grad school and where you're working now. You're at 3M now?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Okay. And then we'll talk about, undergrad, what you each did at an undergrad. I think most of you went to different schools. I tried to get people from St. Scholastica, but I don't think any of you right now went to St. Scholastica, did you?
No.
Okay. But I think well, yeah, I don't, Tyler, you might not, so, not Tyler. Luke, what size school did you go to as an undergrad?
It was around 7,000 undergrad.
Okay. So Scholastic is a little smaller than that. We're only about 2,000 undergrad with about another 2,000 grad students around. So. I think Tyler, you and Claire both went to about the same size school as St. Scholastica. I guess St. John's is bigger than St. Scholastica, but about the same ballpark.
Yep, similar size.
I'm kind of interested to see how many students show up to this, because usually we have maybe 20 students doing summer research, and on any given week we might have 15 of them show up at a research meeting. But this is an evening meeting online, and so I'm interested to see if we get how many people we get showing up. Looks like someone's viewing this online. I wonder if there's any way to see this. Have you guys used Google Hangouts before?
No, my business is pure Skype, so this is new.
Okay. St. Scholastic is all on what is it, a new program, but you've got to download an app or a program and install it on your phone or on your computer to get it to work. So I thought since this is a one-time thing for most of you, it would be easier to do a Hangout. Did you guys have to install anything to do the Hangout? I think it's just native in Chrome and stuff.
It was just like a little plug-in, but
okay,
not bad.
So Luke, what are you studying at Mayo?
I'm studying biochem and molecular biology.
Okay. PhD?
Yep.
Nice. What year are you in?
I'm a second year.
I must have really bad Wi-Fi because every time someone talks, it like freezes. So this will be interesting.
Oops. Claire, are you on the hotel Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I'm using the hotel Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
we will see.
Claire's at a conference right now, so she's my daughter, so I looped her into this.
I know. Inside access. I am a grad student, so I do actually count, but
Tyler's Brandon's son, so we looped him in too. So
see, okay.
we're pulling the.
I was wondering. It's like, makes sense.
Yeah, I heard about this probably 30 minutes ago here, so.
Nice.
If no one shows up, maybe we won't have time. But someone's viewing. I can see the view log, so we've got someone online now.
Like on the YouTube channel.
On the YouTube channel, I sent them that link too.
Mhm.
But I think that way they won't take up the bandwidth so much.
Right.
I'm gonna pop up the YouTube channel to see if the chat shows up on that. Yeah, I'm gonna post the link to the chat. I mean, to the place of questions, and then we'll get started.
There's a person.
It's Melanie.
Hi, Melanie.
Hey. I just texted all my students, so hopefully they join in.
Okay. Okay, why don't we get started here? I know some people are watching on the YouTube channel, so I'm trying to post a link there so they can ask questions on a shared Google Doc. I'll also email that out to them. But why don't we just go through and do quick introductions. The panelists, just give us your name, and again, where you're at and what you're doing. And then we'll go back around again and talk about what you did as undergrad and how you got there. So first, where you're at now. Okay. So, Claire, you want to start?
Sure. Okay. So where am I at? What am I doing? I'm entering my 4th year in the graduate program in mathematics at Oregon State University. I study math education, so I'm studying how we teach math to college students. So it's my 4th year. I got my master's in December, and I'm just starting the PhD part of the program now. I've been a TA for the past 3 years, like mostly doing recitations and sometimes teaching my own class. And I'm gonna do an RA in the next 2 years with my advisor. So. Now we have to pick who goes next. You're muted.
Okay. So Luke, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Luke Dosky. I am a PhD student at the Mayo Clinic Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences. I'm in the biochem and molecular biology track, and I study exosomes in the context of bioduct disease. So, and I'm a 2nd year at the Rochester campus.
Okay, Tyler.
Sounds good. My name is Tyler Olson. I graduated in May from the University of Iowa with an MS in statistics, and I am currently a statistician for the Advanced Materials Division at 3M. So I just live down in Woodbury right now.
Good. All right, let's go through same order and talk about, so what did you do as an undergrad? What school did you go? How big was it? What kind of classes did you take in prep for grad school? Yeah, let's just do classes and that sort of stuff. And then we'll talk about summer research or applications and that sort of stuff. So just talk about where you went to school and what kind of undergrad program you did.
Cool. So I went to Morningside College in Sioux City, Iowa. There are like 1,400 students there, so it's pretty small. It's a private liberal arts school, kind of like Scholastica. And I was originally a graphic design major, and I switched to math in my sophomore year. So my sort of like coursework was limited, but I just took everything I needed for my degree. And yeah, I really liked it. But it was definitely a transition going from a small school to a big R1 university doing research with tons of students and that sort of thing.
All right, I went to Michigan Tech University. It's a state school of about 7,000 people. I was a biochem and molecular biology major. I also had a double major in chemistry, so I took a lot of chemistry courses all the way up until the advanced courses, as well as some advanced biology courses, as well as like up to Calc 3 in mathematics, and then some physics. So
I originally went to the Catholic University of America, which is about 9,000 students. I was computer science out there, so I was School of Engineering, and then I transferred to St. John's my sophomore year. That school is about 2,000. Combined with St. Ben's, it's about 4,000, I think. And I was also computer science there. I squeezed in a math minor my senior year. Did a lot of computer science classes, a reasonable amount of math classes, and I squeezed in a couple stats classes so I could get into grad school.
Okay. How about grad school prep? Did you do anything special to prep for grad school? Did you do any summer programs? that sort of stuff.
Oh, my name is Claire, by the way, too. I realized that everyone else said their name. I didn't even do that. Oh, well, okay. Yeah, so I did an RAU at SUNY Potsdam in New York the summer after my junior year. I'm at Math Fest right now, which is a conference for math people. It's in Chicago, and I just met up with someone from my RAU for dinner, so that was pretty cool. So I did that. I studied graph theory there, and then I did some more research as an undergrad with my undergrad advisor, so that I had like a paper that was in press by the time I graduated, which was cool. And then I actually did a transition program between undergrad and grad, which was like a summer program through University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and it was for PhD students in math who were transitioning from small schools. So that was really cool too, to have that experience before I got to school.
Claire, and then let's do GREs and that sort of stuff. So which GREs did you take, or what other?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took the math GRE and the general subject GRE. I tried to study for both, but didn't do a very good job. I didn't know anyone else who was taking those tests. So my scores were okay, but not great, not what I was used to having. So, but that was definitely something that I took and needed to apply for school. Wish I had put more effort into that for sure. But it turned out fine. Most of the people I know who are in graduate school did it and didn't think too much about it, so.
My turn now?
Yeah, Luke.
Okay. So I did research in between my junior and senior year through a summer undergraduate research fellowship at Michigan Tech. And then that summer I also did GRE prep work and took the exam. And then applied for schools my senior year. Unfortunately, didn't make it into any programs following my senior year, but then I took a year off and I did some research at the university, Michigan Tech University, for another full year, and then prepped, just going over my application, and I didn't retake the GRE, but I focused on basic, my research and targeting schools that would fit me the best. So, yeah, and I made it here. So.
That's good. Tyler?
So I did a summer research fellowship both the summer after my sophomore year and the summer after my junior year. It was the same professor, but it was 2 different projects. So I got a decent paper out of the one for my sophomore year. I got that into a conference. I think it was an agent-directed simulation conference out in Washington, D.C. So that was my first paper. And then I got my second paper kind of transitioned into my honors thesis. So St. John's requires you to either do a senior capstone or a senior thesis. So I did an honors senior thesis, and that dealt with healthcare fraud detection. So I got that published in the International Journal, I think, of Privacy and Health Information Management or something like that, my first year of grad school. For GRE prep stuff, I pretty much just winged it. Took it once, submitted my scores. Talking later to Iowa, it sounded like what they do is they use it as a cutoff. So if you're in a certain percentile for both your math, your reading, your writing, etc., you stay in the applicant pool. If you're below a certain cutoff, they just toss your application.
I just want to say one thing really quick to that. I should have mentioned it too. I found a similar thing out when I got here, that they use the GRE scores as I don't know if they throw any out, but they definitely, if you have GRE scores that are high enough, you get kind of put to the top of the pile, and you're that's enough to admit sometimes, just with the good scores.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. So where are we going next?
Application process?
What? Yeah. So how many schools did you apply to? And how that, so I assume, yeah, you're applying in the fall to schools. What did you, how did you apply? What did you get in or not? And did you go visit them? Because I know in some places it's more common to visit the schools than others.
Okay. So I started choosing graduate schools in the fall. and when of my senior year, and then when I got my GRE scores sometime in that fall, they weren't as high as I had wanted. Especially I was taking the subject test and didn't know how it was going to go, so I reevaluated and chose some different schools. I applied to 9 programs. I got into 2 of them. Oregon State was my top choice, and I got in here, so that's where I ended up. And I also got into North Dakota State University, and then the other ones, they were on those. But I definitely wish I had been a little more realistic about where I was applying, but I also didn't know what grad school was like, so I had no idea. I also didn't know anyone else who had applied for graduate school in math, so I was pretty clueless about what that process looked like. Yeah, I didn't visit anywhere, but I do see a lot of our students come in here to my program to visit, so that would have been cool. But I think generally you have to be kind of in the first couple rounds of applicants that they want to get invited out often. So yeah, I think that's.
Okay, Luke, how did you do? You said you didn't, you applied the first time around and didn't get through?
Yeah, so the first time around, I think I applied to 5 schools, and I think they were all pretty much similar tiered. So I got an interview at one, but unfortunately didn't make it that time. But then the next year, I targeted schools that reflected what I wanted to do, specifically biomedical research. So schools that had strongly aligned with what I had put on my personal statement. So I applied to some REACH schools, so 3 REACH schools, and then I think 5 schools that I thought were, sort of the tier that I could potentially get into, and then a couple of ones that I felt like I could get in quite easily, and then some master programs too, because I needed to go somewhere. So I sort of put as many fingers out as I could. So, and then with biomedical sciences or ones that have a lot of research, you go and you do interviews at the campus. So I think my second year I got 5 interviews, or 4 interviews, and then I got accepted to 3 of those. So, and then I chose Mayo. So.
Okay, Tyler?
So I did the same kind of thing with the tiers. So I had a nice spreadsheet laid out with the different tiers. I was shooting pretty high. I had my heart set on Northwestern. So that's kind of my REACH school. I applied to a lot of Big Ten schools. And I had some safety schools, obviously. I ended up getting into a decent amount. I think I got into about 7. But not all of them would pay, or, I wouldn't get a stipend maybe my first year. I wouldn't get it to maybe my second year in the program. So that's how I started eliminating schools. I know that Nebraska, Oregon State, and Illinois wouldn't give me money my first year. So those were kind of eliminated right away. So I think I was narrowed it down to, I got waitlisted at Northwestern, so I didn't end up getting in there. So I narrowed it down to Iowa, Missouri, Bowling Green, and NDSU. And then I just picked the best offer. So that was University of Iowa.
So let's talk about payments. A couple things. I assume when you did summer research, you got paid for that, each of you. And then what are you getting paid? Are you doing a TA or an RA ship at grad school, or did you, Tyler? And how'd that work, or how expensive has grad school been?
Okay.
Claire, you want to start?
Well, I definitely get paid to go to school, which is really, really great. So part of my deal is that, and I think this is common for lots of graduate programs, is that I'm on a TA ship. So I have a duties for teaching. It's about 16 hours a week is what it's supposed to be. And that also includes a tuition remission. So pay for your tuition, and then also cover a bunch of my fees. So my fees per term are $100, and that includes health insurance and all the school fees that sort of thing. And then I get paid on top of that on like 9 months to teach. And that's 16 hours a week, like I said. And then I know in math, when I got accepted to the PhD program, it was basically like guaranteed 6 years of funding if you do everything right and pass all their tests and do other stuff. So some job security there in that way. Yeah, I think something I didn't really realize I was going to be so thankful for was like the school I'm at has really good health insurance, and that covers like a lot of things, and I don't pay very much for it. And that's also available over the summer, even if I don't work. So that's something that's nice. And a lot of my fees are covered, which is really great. I know some schools those pop up when you don't expect it.
Sounds good. And so why don't we go to Luke? Are you on a TA ship or RA ship or?
Yes. At Mayo, essentially you have like an RA, so you're paid a stipend through the Mayo Fund. So like coming from, like I think it's the hospital's profits, but you're guaranteed a stipend from the Mayo Clinic for 5 years. And then what's unique about Mayo is that that money goes wherever you choose a lab. So regardless if your like faculty advisor has funding for personnel, like if they can have like consumables and have a healthy lab, you can go and research under them. So that's really nice. So they call you like the free agents basically, because everybody comes in with, you know, that stipend. And so, and Mayo Clinic has like generous insurance too. Don't know all the benefits, but it's pretty good, I hear. Yeah, and you don't have to do any TAs because there's no undergraduate population here. But for those who want to do some type of teaching, you can TA grad courses, and they supplement your stipend based on that. And then also there's like internships that you can take where you go to either like local liberal arts schools and then do like a couple weeks of teaching there, or a local state school. So there's some teaching opportunities, but you're not locked into that in your first couple of years. So.
I can jump in here too. So, you know, typically for most of the SAS programs, it looked like when I was applying to schools that there was a stipend involved. At Iowa, there's kind of 2 tiers of stipends. So because I was not a stats major in college, I was kind of the bottom of the barrel in terms of getting a stipend. So I was quarter time my first 2 years, so my only 2 years in grad school, which means that I only worked 10 hours a week. So I got still full tuition. I think 3/4 of the fees on top of that were covered, so I had to pay 1/4, so it's like $200 or something like that. And then we got paid on top of that as well. So if you're halftime, you get paid double what I was making. So a lot of the PhD students were halftime TAs or RAs. So we taught undergraduate classes. So I taught a stats for business class. So those kind of students are in a big lecture once a week that has probably about 600 to 700 students. And then they have individual classes. So I would teach a class of about 30 students, between 30 and 35. And we would, you know, help write the exams, do all the quizzes, do all the grading, that sort of stuff.
So Claire, when you were TAing, you had similar things, right?
Yeah, that sounds pretty similar. So we have like a handful of different duties you can have, but for my first 2 years, I was like a recitation TA. So I was like working with the smaller like classrooms of students, doing like activities with them and doing worksheets. And I also occasionally would get to be a part of like the team that would write the exams for all of the classes or write the quizzes, and there was always grading and office hours as part of that too. And then I have been able to teach my own class as well. For international students, that was like 30 under 30 students. So they occasionally let us teach our own classes, but only in my department, it's only in some situations. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know when I went to grad school, everyone in the computer program taught their own classes. So but again, that's back, we were limited with computer labs. We can only have classes up to 30 people. So I think that's why they farmed out all the TAs to actually teach classes in computing.
So I was just at dinner with a friend of mine who did my math RU with me, and she was basically just given a class her first week of grad school. They're like, here, you're teaching this, and has never had any teaching training. So there's totally a spectrum of what you're expected to do, for sure. My department seems to care about teaching in some respects, so we do get some support in that way.
I went through zero training, so they just kind of threw us in there. Our department is primarily international students, so they typically only give stipends to American students for their first 2 years, and then after the international students pass, they take a certain number of English exams and stuff like that, and once they're in their third year of their program, then they'll get a stipend. And so they kind of just threw us in there and make us teach the class without any teaching kind of classes or anything, so it's kind of a learn while you go. So that's pretty interesting.
Okay, so I'm seeing a question posted to the doc. They've got a Google Doc that I emailed out the link to, so if you see that in your email, you can ask some questions there if you're watching. But someone was asking just the basic question: why did you choose a graduate degree? So why did you go to grad school in the first place?
Okay, I love this question. So, I mean, I can remember like learning what grad school was when I was really young, and being like, well, why wouldn't you go do that? And being kind of like sassy about it, because like I've loved school forever, and so it just made sense that like I would keep going to school. Especially this idea that someone would pay you to go to school just totally blows my mind. It's really awesome. But I also, while I was an undergrad, decided I wanted to teach, and I decided I wanted to teach math. And so that going to graduate school just like the way to be able to do that in how I wanted to. So yeah, I wanted to keep going to school, and I wanted to learn more. I wanted to be in academia.
Yeah. So the reason why I went to graduate school is because I really wanted to, make the next discovery, or push the limits of what's known, and I didn't want to just be doing science. I wanted to be, or like not being hands in the laboratory and being told like what experiments to do. I wanted to be choosing that and showing what is proving my theories. So that's sort of why I wanted to go to graduate school. And yeah.
I mean, I like to push myself, and I obviously I majored in computer science. I didn't feel like I learned what I wanted to exactly as an undergrad. Really wanted to learn more stats, and so I thought, graduate degree would be great. I really thought about either an MS or a PhD. So my program was a PhD program. After 2 years, you could not reapply, but you could take more exams on top of what you had already taken, and test into that third year or whatever. I ended up just being done with 2 years, but I really was interested in working for more of a science-based company. And a company like 3M doesn't hire, they rarely hire someone from a liberal arts institution. So you really need that graduate degree to be able to work for a company like 3M.
Let's talk about exams and stuff and coursework. Well, were you required? Are you required to do a PhD thesis? Do you have to do a master's? So, as part of your program, are there qualifying exams you had to pass? So, what kind of loopholes, or what do you have to do to get through a program?
How many hoops are there to get through? Okay. So in math, a lot of the programs, the way I describe them, are kind of elitists in the way that like they think their classes are the best classes, and the way they teach math's the best way to teach math. So everyone kind of starts in the same place when they come in. So taking all the same coursework. And then after our first year, we take qualifying exams, and you get 3 tries to pass them. So some programs have like bunches of choices of topics, but ours we only have like 2 tests and you have to take them. So one is in real analysis, the other one's in linear algebra and complex analysis. And so you get 3 tries to pass each of them. And then once you pass, you're technically like allowed to continue to get your PhD, basically. But that's, so I finished those halfway through my second year. And then I like spent the next year finishing a master's degree. You don't have to get a master's degree, but I wanted to do it. We also have like a bunch of different ways you can get a master's degree, but I ended up writing a thesis for that. You can also do like an oral examination too. And so now, as part of the PhD program, I have to do another round of like, basically I have to get some preliminary work done on my dissertation to present to my committee, and they have to officially pass me before I'm technically a PhD candidate, and then go through the dissertation and all of that formal defense and that sort of thing. But ours were those 2 qualifying exams. You can choose if you want a master's or not. So some people I know came in with a master's degree, they had to do the same coursework, have to take the same exams, but they just went like straight into their PhD work.
Someone was asking, how many more years will it take you to finish your PhD?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I will take 5 or 6 years total. So I got my master's after halfway through my 3rd year, and then I will have, I'll finish after 5 or 6 years, somewhere in there. It's kind of unknown currently. But I think normally it takes, for most of the people I know, it takes 6 years to do both the master's and the PhD.
Okay, Luke.
All right, so similar setup. We have 2 qualifiers. So in between your first and second year, you have a written qualifier. In my track, so the way Mayo is there's like 6 tracks based on like your research interests. So in my track, like our coursework is like either in the first year it's required to do biochemistry, and then cancer biology, and then cell biology and genetics. So like on a Friday, you're given 6 papers on those 3 topics, and then on the Monday you have the weekend to digest the papers, read them all, and then on a Monday you answer essay questions based on 2 out of the 6 of your choosing, and then that's like the written qualifier. And then after your written qualifier, you do research and you get preliminary data to put into your thesis proposal, and then you present that in front of your thesis committee, and you defend that proposal. And then I think that's, you can choose whenever to do that. Most of the time people do that either in between their 2nd and 3rd year, or I've heard of people doing it in their 3rd or 4th. And then in your 5th year, you do your dissertation defense, and then your PhD. So.
Okay, Luke, there was a question online. Do you think majoring in biochem or chem, so what did you major in, and did it give you an edge? So. I
double majored in chemistry, and then my second major was biochemistry and molecular biology. I think that majoring in the basic sciences, and especially like the physical sciences, gives you like a rigorous background for, you know, critical thinking and problem solving with like chemistry. and it gives you a unique way of understanding matter instead of, I guess, memorizing facts. And it gave me a little bit of an edge, but what I didn't know is that you can think critically in biology, and there are definite, there were some hurdles at the start to get myself into thinking biologically instead of chemically. So I think it gave me an edge, and it definitely, broadened my horizons. But yeah, I wouldn't go back and just do biochemistry or molecular biology. The chemistry background, there's a lot of positives. So.
Okay. Tyler?
So similar to Claire, I think we have a similar setup to what Claire had at Oregon State. We had qualifying comprehensive exams after the first year of your master's program, and that was to test into the second year. So it was 2 3.5-hour exams the week before school starts. One covers statistical inference, and the other one covers applied stats and I think statistical computing. I had a 12-week internship, so I studied maybe 2 weeks, and that was a terrible idea. So I worked 4 10s, so I would get off probably 5 or 6 o'clock at night, go to the library, study until about 10 or 11, go to bed, do it over again, and it was really brutal. Got through it, survived, and then if you stayed in the PhD program, you'd have to qualify again for the 3rd year, so it's 2 more exams, and then you have to qualify again for the 4th year, so it's 2 more exams on top of that. So I think it's in total 6 exams.
Wow. Okay.
That's awful.
So someone was asking online, what do you do during the summer? Do you work during the summer? Do you work at the school you're at? Do you get paid? Do you just take the summers off? So what have you guys done over the summers?
Yeah, so we have opportunities in the summer, but you aren't guaranteed an opportunity. So I taught my first summer here, and I'm teaching this summer as well. There's some sort of hierarchy for who gets picked for those jobs, and there's a certain number of them depending on enrollment. But it's hard to know if you're going to get one or not. I do know some people who have worked at labs and done, people who do more applied work have gone and had summer internships that pay. But if I have a job, it's usually just I teach one class, same sort of thing, except I don't take classes. I just teach, and then I get paid to do that. So that's what I'm doing right now.
So the way that my school is set up is that we're on a whole year quarter system. So they're basically 3-month sections of classes you can take. So my first year, or this year, I took classes all the way up until late June. So and then the next quarter, so the quarter that we're in now, there's not really advanced courses that I can take right now, but because we're technically on an RA, we're in the lab basically every day. So and you get paid throughout. So there's not really a break from classes means starting up in the lab a little bit sooner and longer. So.
Tyler?
So my buddies in grad school who either stayed for their PhD program or stayed in Iowa over the summer did primarily taught. A lot of standardized testing is based out of Iowa City. So I know that ACT, Pearson, Iowa Basic Testing are all based out of Iowa City. So they'll poach a decent amount of kids from the stats and actuarial science programs. I did an internship, so I knew I wanted to work in the industry. So I had interviews at both Mayo and 3M. Ended up taking the one at 3M and did a 12-week there between my first and second year.
So I see a question posted for Tyler. Why did you decide not to go on for the PhD? And so since you just were talking about internships and that sort of stuff.
Yep. So
more details.
I sat down with my advisor and kind of talked through the perks of getting a PhD versus just getting a master's degree. I was at a pretty big disadvantage not majoring in either math or statistics. So I was having to work pretty hard in those infants, so more of the hardcore theory in the stats program. It would have been possible. I think I could have probably toughed it out, but it's kind of a diminishing return at a certain point if you want to work in the industry. A lot of companies want statisticians with just a master's degree if you're going to be working in more of an applied field. So I work more in quality control, and so there's not really a huge need for me to have a PhD in stats. Just having a master's is probably good enough. I know that other fields, like if you want to work in pharmaceuticals, they primarily only hire statisticians with PhDs, so it really depends on what field you want to go into.
Okay, let's go. Thinking back, I see a question posted here. What's the one thing you wish someone had told you about graduate school when you were an undergrad?
Yeah, so I actually just saw this question on the doc and got really excited. And I'm here with a graduate student friend of mine in the hotel, and I asked her while I muted it, like, what do you wish someone had told you? So we were trying to think. So she had said, go to therapy, which I laughed about because it's something I did as soon as I got to graduate school. And so I think I would maybe summarize that as like, use your resources and
really go to therapy.
Therapy just go. So something that is really cool is like if you're in a university, they have like really good services for everything. And so like we have free like counseling, and so it's been really great. I think we've both used it, and we know lots of other grad students who have. I think it can be really challenging when you get to grad school. You kind of are like in this new world and trying to figure yourself out, and you're like, imposter syndrome is everywhere. Which, okay, if you don't, imposter syndrome, that's probably what I wish I knew when I got to graduate school. Great, okay, I'll talk about that for a second. So imposter syndrome is basically this feeling that like, you don't belong here, they let me into grad school on accident, I'm actually super dumb and everyone's gonna find out, so I just have to try to fake it, and so nobody knows how stupid I really am. And so I think it's a feeling that like lots of grad students face, and it can really, you can not like realize that the people around you are also feeling that way. I feel like everyone else has everything figured out and you're faking it. So that's a good thing to know too. But yeah, I think just like knowing your resources and like using everything that anyone offers you. So going to counseling for sure has been really good for me, and I know it's been good for Emerald. So I would say that. And just like know yourself, figure out what works for you. I think like when I got to grad school, I kind of forgot that like I'm a good student and I've spent my whole life like being a good student. I just started doing what other people were doing with like studying and like how they work together, and I kind of needed to remember who I was and that like I had done a lot of work to get there, and that I was like smart and could trust my own process. So yeah.
Yeah, I would probably say like along the lines that how much discovery like that you have like about yourself and everything. So and also that there's a lot of, I guess, ups and downs. So like there's times where, you know, you might not be doing anything in the lab and you feel like you're just, you know, sort of coasting, but then you have like a huge exam and then you're trying to get through that. It's just the pacing isn't, you know, intense all the time. So you shouldn't be like thinking that it's intense all the time. And, you know, when it gets super intense with deadlines and stuff, you know that it's going to pass eventually. So, you know, just sort of be cautious of that and don't try and, you know, go up against the waves too hard because, you know, you might crash up against the rocks. I don't know, but just coast it.
What Claire said about imposter syndrome is exactly what I went through. I think a lot of grad students go through that. I know my entire first year, my two office mates and I would just sit in our office and we would constantly talk about that. We had a lot of people in our program who came in with an MS already, so and then Iowa makes them redo it. So they still have to do 5 years in the program. And that's really hard when you're in class and most students know what's going on and you have no idea what's going on. And so that's kind of an eye-opening thing. I know a lot of undergrads don't go through that, but grad school really kind of opens your eyes to that. But it's really awesome in terms of the course work you get to take. You get to take some really, really cool classes in grad school. A lot of really cool projects. A lot of really professors will let you kind of pick and choose what you want to do for your course projects. And so we did some really cool stuff. A lot of really cool prediction. All of us were either former athletes in college or high school, so we did a lot of stuff with like March Madness prediction, a lot of machine learning stuff. So that was really, really fun to work on. And obviously, when you're in a graduate school course, the professors totally kind of push you to do cool stuff like that.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap up for the night. I don't see any more questions posted here. So I think that was a really good summary that everyone gave. Any closing remarks that anyone wants to do after that?
I would just say feel free to send me an email if you want to ask any questions. I'm like obsessed with grad school and grad students, and I'm studying grad students for my dissertation, so I love to talk about this stuff.
Okay, I've got everyone's emails posted to the Google Doc, so they can contact you if need be. Yep. Sorry, I assume that goes to the rest of you too, so expect you might get an email from the students. Okay, well, thanks for everyone for joining, and hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
No problem.